Another one I wrote is I have $10,000 in my savings and it's still growing. Like, what? Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. So in this video, I am sharing my scripting success story of how I manifested $10,000. Yes, I said $10,000, which is crazy. The money is gone now, but the fact that I reached that is amazing. If you want to see more of my scripting success stories, I have other videos talking about things that has happened for me since scripting, and I'm going to continue to add these type of videos as things start to happen and as I'm having more success with scripting. But y'all, I talked about this probably in a previous video, but I tried scripting for the first time and it worked for me. So now scripting is something I do more in my life. Usually I don't manifest money. I don't know, it's just something I never really thought of doing. I started scripting about money and abundance. This is a manifestation journal that I share with y'all all the time. I'm actually towards the end of it, so I'll be showing a new journal soon, y'all, whenever I finish this one. But this is my main manifestation journal that I use, and this is the journal that I use when I manifested the $10,000 that I'm going to tell you about next. So these green things are just marks in my journal that I'm going to refer to that I think helped with manifesting the $10,000. One thing that I wrote in my journal is money in abundance flows to me frequently and easily. I'm a money magnet. I started writing things like that in my journal. Here's another entry. I put my bank account is the highest it's ever been. These are kind of like just spread out throughout my journal. I never made like a specific entry all about like money and 10K. I never did that. I sprinkled this throughout like different entries over time. Excuse me. Y'all, my voice, I need some water. I have another entry where I specifically talked about the 10K. I put that I have $10,000 in my savings and it's still growing. This was the main script that I did, that I wrote, and it was mixed with a whole bunch of other stuff that I'm just trying to manifest. So that was me actually putting it on paper. And I'm going to skip to the last one. My savings is amazing. I have more than enough. Once I started scripting about money and abundance, and I just drew out the 10K number because I'm like, oh, that sounds amazing. And I started thinking about my savings. I was probably like halfway there already. I just said, okay, well, since I put 10K down, let's try and hit that then. So that was my goal. This was during the time of the pandemic. I was fortunate to still have my job during the pandemic. So a lot of people who still had their job, they saved a lot because they couldn't go nowhere. They couldn't spend money, even though some people spent a lot online and fast food. And I kind of spent a lot of money on fast food too. But I still saved a lot. Y'all know we had the stimulus checks. So I put that towards my savings. I ended up getting a bonus from work after I started scripting about money and abundance. And I put that in my savings, and I ended up hitting 10K in my bank account. And I was just like, wow, because I script. Let me go back to it, y'all. My bank account is the highest it's ever been. 10K in my bank account, in my savings, y'all, that is the highest it has ever been. Another one I wrote is I have $10,000 in my savings and it's still growing. Like, what? I sprinkled this around in my journal. So there wasn't a main page talking about 10K, even though people can do that, and I'm sure people do that, but that wasn't how I did it. So this was how I manifested $10,000, y'all. Seeing that number, it's just like, whoa. I'm hoping in the future, you know, I manifest that amount all the time and more and frequent, and, you know, just having that be a norm in my bank account would be so cool to have. That's not a main thing I'm manifesting right now, but eventually I will. And timeline wise, because I know that's a question that people usually ask, like, how long does it take? So I'm trying to think back, because this is a while ago and I'm just now making a video. So I started manifesting it in June. I know the pandemic started in March, around the end of the year or before the end of the year. So I would say probably like October, November. I don't remember the exact time. One thing I want to note with this scripting success story compared to my other ones is 10K I wrote once. Like, I think it was like a sentence. What was it? I gotta go back to it, y'all, because I forgot. I said I have $10,000 in my savings and it's still growing. I specifically wrote that once in one sentence compared to my other scriptings where it was like a whole entry all about it and feeling it and all of that. And this one was different because I wrote that one sentence, but I sprinkled abundance and money and prosperity and all of that throughout other entries. So a focus wasn't really specifically on the 10K. So I found that interesting because if you believe it and you write it down and you like, yes, I'm gonna get this, like, it will happen, it will come true. And I think that just shows that it's different for everyone. Some people write it multiple times. In the past, I wrote like a whole entry on it. Sometimes I'll write a sentence. Sometimes I'll write it multiple times. It's just different for everyone. And I realized that it's also different for me as I'm scripting more. Some things are coming true, whether I write a sentence about it, whether I write an entire entry about it, describing it in detail, whether I write it over and over multiple times. It's just different. So I would say experiment, do different methods, and also think about how your actions play a role in it too. I talk about actions all the time on this channel. Like, you have to do the work with it while you're manifesting at the same time. Some manifestations, you are doing multiple methods at once. Sometimes you are visualizing with it. Sometimes you're just repeating it out loud. Sometimes your mind is just focused on it. Well, that's the end of my video. If you enjoyed this video and you found value in it, hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next video.